Hi guys, welcome back. Nikocado Avocado is one of the popular mukbang YouTubers where he basically eats food in front of people and people enjoy what he has to say and they definitely enjoy watching him eat. However, because of how much he eats and how much he started getting up to weight-wise, a lot of people didn't really think he was good for people that were trying to lose weight and be healthier because technically he's overeating excessively. Anyway, he did a really interesting video this weekend, and I want you guys to see what he put together. It's kind of a masterpiece. Tell me what your thoughts are.
Two steps ahead. I am always two steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment I've come to know. Certainly the greatest social experiment of my entire life. It's alluring. It's compelling. It's gripping. To bear witness, to observe all these unwell, unbalanced, disoriented beings roam the internet in search of stories, in search of ideas, of conflict, of rivalries, where people develop a distinctive desire for direct engagement, where people feel involved with the stories and therefore become product of influence, thirsty for distraction from time unspent, from lackluster lifestyles, spoiling their minds while stimulating them at the exact same time. It's brilliant. I'm monitoring ants on an ant farm. One follows another, follows another, follows another. It's mesmerizing. It's enthralling. It's spellbinding. Just look at all these consumers, all of these lost and bored people. I am the villain. I make myself one. And people will consume these stories year after year after year. Stories that shock, that confuse, stories that are deliberately made to blur the boundaries between fact and fiction. Influence the ants. Brainwash the ants. You are the ant.
So it's kind of fascinating. Like I said earlier, a lot of the people that watch his videos leave comments that aren't very kind, talking about how he's kind of doing a disservice to people that are trying to be more healthy, right? So he's basically talking here about how ants are easily influenced. So while they're talking crap to him, so to speak, he's basically plotting something that's going to kind of blow your mind. I'll let you see how this unfolds.
I woke up this morning to money deposited into my account for simply not doing something, for simply not going through with something. People are the most fucked up creatures on this planet, and you will continue to consume, and I'll continue to be two steps ahead. Today, I thought it would be a splendid idea to go out and get some food and film it for you. Gee, are you surprised? Have you forgotten the story? Are you not paying attention? I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment for my entire life. It's alluring, it's compelling, it's gripping to observe all these unwell, disoriented beings roam the internet in search of stories, ideas, rivalries, where they feel encouraged and engaged, where they involve themselves with the stories and become a product of influence. I feel as if I'm monitoring ants on an ant farm. One follows another, follows another, follows another. It's mesmerizing. It's spellbinding. All these little consumers, all of these lost and bored people.
I feel like he's turning into Jigsaw from Saw, like he's talking in this weird voice and stuff. And basically, imagine watching one of his videos from 7 months ago, and he weighed in at 359 pounds. And then all of a sudden, imagine seeing.
So I am the villain because I've made myself one. And you will continue to consume these stories about me year after year after year, for as long as I tell the internet that I am the villain. Stories that permeate and linger and infect the minds of the ants, influence the ants, brainwash the ants. You are the ants. Today I woke up from a very long dream, and I also woke up having lost 250 pounds off of my body. Yet just yesterday, people were calling me fat and sick and boring and irrelevant. People are the most messed up creatures on the entire planet. And yet I've still managed to stay 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, he looks a little crazy there, doesn't he? So imagine this. Imagine you're one of these guys that likes going onto his videos every day or every time he uploads and putting something crappy, some crappy comment. You're not expecting to see him actually like this. He lost, I guess, 250 pounds. So I guess he's about 145, 150 pounds here, maybe even a couple pounds less. But basically, he did a lot of things that I guess people thought he couldn't do. Now he's in great shape, and he gave some clues as to how he got it done, and we'll talk about that here in a second.
The joke's on you. It is what it is. Don't look at me, Ashley. Don't even look. I'm crazy. If you think about what I do with my life, I know I'll give you a dramatic little intro today. Whatever. It stems from truth here. Look what I'm doing with my life. I'm eating food on camera and telling stories. What is happening to my life?
He is a mukbanger. They can eat ungodly amounts of food. They just don't necessarily eat it fast. Why do I say that? Competitive eaters eat a ton of food and they eat it fast. Competitive eaters are considered athletes. I would make the argument that Nikocado Avocado is actually a world-class athlete. Now, if that makes you laugh or scoff, I understand completely. But anybody that can transform their body over 7 months, or if he did go back as much as a year and a half or 2 years and put up pre-recorded videos to make it appear like he had been uploading over the past year and a half or so, either way, when you can get 250 pounds off your frame, There's something really impressive about that. It's kind of akin to a UFC fighter dropping 20 pounds in a handful of days. I find that very impressive. And you see that 32-ounce soda there? You and I can eat meals, not necessarily as much as Nick here can, but a lot of times our meal does include that 32-ounce soda. Well, guess what? Nick's not drinking soda there, he's drinking water, which is one component of weight loss that I want you guys to consider. No matter how horrible your meal is at dinner or supper time, if you're willing to drop the cola for water, 32 ounces of cola is roughly 400 plus calories. Just by having water, you're saving yourself those 400 calories. Let's continue.
Okay, peasants. My pants are falling down. That's the worst part about the way I gain fat. I don't gain it in my butt. Sorry. I gain it on top, like a muffin top. I get it in my belly, my sides, but not the actual butt. So the pants still fall down. I wear the same size pants now as I did 150 pounds ago, 2XL. But my shirts went from 1XL to 4XL, okay? It's like a mushroom that has like a little stem. I don't gain fat in my butt. It's literally the same little size as it was when I was 100 pounds. Oh my God, I really feel so full. This was so fun. And clearly I'm craving water like no one's business. I feel like a grease ball, but I identify as skinny, link down below. It's justwaterway.com. Buy my shirt and a hoodie. The joke's on you.
Mr. Noodle, you're so cute. You look like a big green ball. Yeah, you look like a big green avocado. Which is my favorite fruit ever. Yeah. Oh, you're a good bird. You missed me so much, I know. Those 8 years separate. Or longer. I know. How many years was it? How many years? Tell me. How many years were we separate for? Too many, yeah. I know, my baby. I had no choice. I had no choice. But Daddy's back. And I'm back here with all of you. And it was a long 8 years, wasn't it? It was a long 8 years. And I didn't think that it would have gone this long, but it did. And it was like a bad dream. Yeah, it was like a really bad dream that we were waiting for it to be over. And it's over. It was just a dream.
This is where I started getting a little tripped out. His eyes got pink as he was saying that, like there was some real emotion there, right? And apparently he's going with this idea that this last 8 years that I guess he's been extremely overweight was just a nightmare or a dream. And it reminded me of the final episode or the final show in Newhart, where Bob wakes up and his wife next to him is his wife from the Bob Newhart show. And he's like, yeah, I was in this area where this hotel was with these creepy people. It was crazy. It's one of the best finales in sitcom history. You got to watch it if you haven't. And if you have watched it, let me know down in the comments. But anyway, this got me starting to think that maybe he was doing pre-recordings. Are we watching a video from today and now? Or are we watching a video that he might have made 6 or 7 years ago? He's got one of these minds that, like he says, he thinks 2 or 3 steps ahead. And here's where you guys have an advantage over me. Because I put up a video of somebody dieting every night, I didn't get a chance to go through his myriad of thousands of videos that he's made or hundreds of videos through the years. So you guys might know this character a little bit better than I do. But either way, I found this fascinating. I think this is going to be one of those things where in the future, we look back upon this upload and how crazy it was. People were expecting him to be 360 pounds, and all of a sudden, he's the smallest guy in the room.
Yeah, it feels like a bad dream. But we woke up, we woke up. Yeah. We're so excited. We woke up. Yay! We woke up from the bad dream. And I'm back. And Mr. Noodle is back. You miss all the peasants. Hey, it's been like 8 years. Are you gonna say hi? I might put little pieces here and there when I'm editing this for you guys to kind of see what we did yesterday, which was black bean noodles. I love them. They're so good. And these come from a Chinese Korean place, and they make them hand pulled and they stretch them out by hand. You can see them in the restaurant going like this. They're super chewy. They're very chewy and very, very long. I actually think they cut them to make it easier for you to slurp them. Oh my God. Basically.
So here's the amazing part. Let's tie it back to what I said at the beginning. There are mukbangers and then there are competitive eaters. And somewhere there's got to be a fine line between the two. For a guy as small as he is now, to be able to finish that giant platter of food all by himself, minus the bite or two the parrot took, right, is amazing. Where does he put all this food? It's amazing to me. But anyway, you know what's more amazing? Let's go over what he taught us about dieting without mentioning anything. Don't tell. Go to the lab. Have the idea like Elmer Fudd, right? Where it's back to the lab again. How do I get that wascally wabbit? How do we lose weight? In order for him to lose weight over a year and a half or 7 months to the tune of 250 pounds, it means he had to do something daily. He probably was walking every day. He also had to cut out some liquid calories. That's probably why he started drinking water. There's clues there. Now, somebody that's been watching him for years might say, yeah, he never drinks soda. He always drinks water. But I think we can both agree that's a great quality to have. And that's if he has that quality. He might have been a soda drinker before then. He also showed us what not to do. This platter of food here, if you want to lose weight, you have to stop doing that. And for the time that he was away from his channel, he wasn't eating like this. There's no way he could have been and losing that much weight. Another thing that he teaches us, if you think about it, is don't judge people by their words. Sometimes people say things that might infuriate you, but you should really judge them by their actions. So although on the surface it might look like he doesn't care about himself or he doesn't care about his weight, that doesn't mean that he's not capable of doing something extraordinary, which leads me to you. You're capable of losing a lot of weight over 6 or 7 months. Maybe not 250 pounds, but most of us don't need to lose 250 pounds. Imagine if you can just cut off 25 to maybe 50 pounds in 7 months by doing what he did, drinking water and walking every day, and not announcing to the world that you're on a diet, because if you do that, it puts so much pressure on you. Instead, lose the weight and then shock the world, just like Nick did. By going away from his channel for a while, he employed silence. Guys, there's so much power in silence. During his time away, he was able to check in on the comments, see how devastating some of those comments were, and now he's able to fight back with the best revenge of all, success. And I want you guys to be successful in your weight loss journey as well. And the best way we can do that is for you to go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday out there. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. I am walking here. I noticed that the breeze kicked up. That's always nice. I've got two stories to share with you. The one I like to share because I'm a recruiter, and one of the things that's been happening across the country, which I'm sure you've heard, and it might even be happening across multiple countries, we've been having a legitimate teacher shortage. A lot of times the teachers in the past had a system that supported them. If you as a student acted up, the teacher could send you to the principal. The principal would have absolutely none of it. They would reach out to your parents, and then your parents, the teacher, and the principal would get together and find a way to make this change in the student's life so that things could go on and better themselves from that point forward. Now we're in a situation where the teachers still have issues with students, just like they always have had since the beginning of time, right? But now, instead of having a principal that supports the teachers, I'm hearing tons of stories all the time where the principals and the staff of the school do not back the teacher. So the teacher's in one of these seriously catch-22 type situations where they try to reach out for help and support from the principal and nothing is there. The teachers are afraid of the principal. The principal is afraid of the school board. The school board is afraid of the parents, and the parents are afraid of their kids. And what happens is the kids end up ruling the roost, and you have a situation where the kids have so much power now in these schools that there's basically nothing that anybody can do about it. We have to create change. So why do I bring up this story? Well, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but in Corsicana, Texas, for the Collins Intermediate School, there was an assistant principal who was called by a teacher to assist because one student was assaulting another. The assistant principal, her name is Chandra Rogers, goes down, catches a chair as one student tries throwing it through the air at a teacher, catches another chair as that same student tries hitting her with it, and then as she's looking one way trying to catch one chair, a wooden hanger, I don't know what a wooden hanger looks like, I'm imagining a hanger to hang up a t-shirt or something, right? A hanger is thrown at the assistant principal's face and hits her in the eye. The assistant principal, Chandra Rogers, says that she didn't really know what was up other than the fact that she was hit on the eye. Come to find out that this wooden hanger actually knocked her eye out of its socket. So she's sitting there holding her eyeball in her hand as it's, literally hanging from her eyeball socket. Is that horrific or what? Now, unlike in Georgia, where they told us about Colt Gray's name right away and said, hey, we're going to be treating this kid as an adult, in Texas, where this happened, apparently with the laws and rules there in the state, they're not allowed to give this student's name. I think that whether they do or not is irrelevant, right? Because the authorities know who the student was, obviously. That's what's important. But they had to air vac her from the school to a nearby hospital where the surgeons were luckily able to reinsert her eye into the socket. However, the permanent damage is already done. Experts believe that she's going to be permanently blinded in that eye forever. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's about the worst possible outcome that can happen other than somebody losing their life. These kids are out of control. So here's my thought to you. Colin Gray is going to potentially get 180 years for what his son Colt Gray did at the school in Winder, Georgia. Do you guys believe that the parent of this child that ended up taking out this principal's eye, do you think that this parent should have any type of punishment awaiting them? My thinking is, if you know your kids are criminal, and again, this is going to be darn near impossible to prove probably, but if you know that your kids are darn near criminals and you're afraid of them and they are out of control at your house and you let them go to school and this happens to another student
or to a teacher themselves, because keep in mind, he assaulted another student as well. I didn't even hear what happened to that other student, but I assume when you're assaulted, that means you took on some sort of damage, right? So you have this situation where it's like, I'm thinking maybe we should look into punishing parents when their kids do these things. Are there some legitimate reason or situations where parents are really good people and their kids are out of control? Yeah. But I think if anybody knows about it, it's the parents, and there needs to be some sort of rule or communication that is expected between parents and a school. I feel like people should know that, hey, you are in the midst of a wild kid. And remember, when kids are in junior high and high school, it's not like they were like when I was in school, where I was 5'9" and 130 pounds soaking wet. Some of these kids have the body of grown men or grown women. And I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of videos, they show them all the time, where students and teachers are literally at blows with one another, fighting in classrooms. It seems like 9 times out of 10, they're fighting with people over their cell phone. I saw a funny video from a couple years back. They showed a substitute teacher, and he grabbed a student's cell phone and he said, "No cell phones in my class." And I can respect that. That's kind of awesome that a teacher has the ability to grab your cell phone and say, "You'll get it after class." That's how it was when I was in school. And you were lucky if you got it back from the teacher rather than the principal. But anyway, make a long story short, instead of accepting the fact that she was going to have to wait till the end of class to get her phone back, this student ended up grabbing pepper spray from her purse, and she ended up spraying the teacher in the face with pepper spray. Did any of you guys see that last year? Or it might have been from a year or two ago. But I remember it like it was yesterday. Other students are literally with their phones out, taking video of this teacher getting pepper sprayed in the face. The hilarious thing was, after one spray of pepper spray, the teacher's like this, right? Rubbing the crap out of their eyes, kind of whining and complaining, had a perfect whining, complaining voice. He's like, "God, what did you do that for?" You know, perfect. Sounded like me whining, to be honest with you. And she ends up giving him another spray in the face. Oh my God, it was hilarious. Is it wrong? Yes. Is it bad for me to laugh and giggle at it? Yes. But I think we can agree, if somebody shoots you with pepper spray, you know, that's a little bit nicer than popping an eyeball out with a hanger. Oh my God, I don't know about you guys, but when I was little, one of my friends shot a rubber band, hit me right in the eye. A couple years before that, I was on the football field with a friend, and he threw a football when I wasn't expecting, and it hit me right between the eyes. In both cases, who knows, I might have been an inch or two away from losing an eyeball. You know, whenever people do things, there's a potential downfall that comes from their actions. There's bad things that can happen. Sometimes I wonder, do people do these bad things on purpose and then like to hide behind the idea that, hey, it's an accident? You know, when my friend shot me in the face with a rubber band, he had to have known he's aiming at my face. Did he mean to get me in the eye? No, he probably would have thought it would have been just as funny if he got me in the forehead or the nose or the mouth. But when you're shooting at somebody's face, guess what? There's a chance you're going to pop their eyeball out. It goes back to that famous saying that we all grew up with. It's all fun and games till somebody loses an eye. You know, the reality is, if you were to pop your friend's eyeball out, you're going to be fine. They have to go the rest of their life sitting there staring at things like this. And I don't know if you've ever closed one eye and tried to use the other. You lose your depth perception. So we're talking to lose one eye. Yeah, you have two of them, great. But my God, have you ever seen one person where they wear a patch or something? It's not like they want to look like that. God, I just think when you do things, whether it's an accident or not, there needs to be some punishment. And if you're some kid that is assaulting other kids, you don't belong in school, you belong in juvenile detention. When I was little, my principal had a wooden paddle, and that wooden paddle had notches on it. And those notches, although they come across as cruel, they basically were students that had been whipped by the paddle. When I went in to see the principal when I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade, you couldn't help but notice this paddle that was on the wall. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but back in the 70s, teachers and principals were allowed to paddle kids. We got rid of that. Why? Because we saw it as a cruelty that should be done by the parents. Well, now we've gone full circle. Now nobody is disciplining these kids whatsoever. The parents are afraid of their kids. And I'm telling you, parents out there, if you have kids that you're afraid of, you're going to potentially get in trouble in the future. Because if you're afraid of your kids, there's probably a good chance your kids are terrifying people out there. We need to really nip this in the bud. If you guys are like me and you're sick and tired of hearing these stories all the time, golly, if you're a young person and some way, somehow you're hearing my words, if you stick your hands on people, I hope that somebody does that to you. You know, sometimes we need people to realize the error of their ways, and the way we go about it in this country, it's just not getting it done. We need to start I think what we ought to do is I think we ought to have a permanent police presence in every single high school. I don't care if it's a good, well-to-do school where there's never any problems. I don't see any reason why every single neighborhood can't have multiple police in a school. And if you have a horrible school, your teacher should be able to have the comfort of knowing that right outside the school in the hallway is an actual uniformed officer. You know what I mean? Do you think that kid would have been so quick to abuse a student or a teacher if he would have known that Officer Friendly was there to take him down to the courthouse, you know, or the precinct? Golly, how come we are on our best behavior when Officer Friendly's right there? But right when Officer Friendly leaves, guess what? The devil comes out. Well, if you have a devil inside you, I hope that you get caught. And I hope you get in trouble for it. And teachers, maybe your principal, maybe your district doesn't have your back, but Walk Talk Vent does. I believe in our teachers. I believe in our law enforcement. I believe in good people, and I like to fight for the victims. I'm tired of these bullying type of, I don't even know if you would call them alpha, because alpha males, you know, they tend to live by a code of some sort of decency. These are just criminals. I'm telling you, there's something evil that we've developed in our world. You know, a lot of times people don't necessarily believe in God and stuff, but we know for sure that evil exists. And man, we've got to root this evil out. I don't know the answer. All I know is that if you have a police presence there, these things should drop considerably. And I'll tell you what makes me sick. When we do have a police presence, and then you do have a shooter like you had in Texas a couple years back, and the police are too wimpy to do their damn job. Do not become a policeman if you fear losing your life, because that is an inherent quality of being a police officer. You have to put your life on the line. You can't just sit there and take a check, and then when things get scary and hectic, you run. And if you guys remember, they had a bunch of police officers just sitting around while the gunman was killing people in Texas, in the Texas school a couple of years back. Golly, people are so disappointing. Walk Talk Vent, you're not disappointing. You walk with us every day. I sure do. My God, could you imagine if I promised walking with you every day and then pretty soon I'm like, hey, sorry, I've been gone for a week. Oh my God, that's the world we live in. If you say you're going to do something, if you take an oath to protect, get your ass in there and protect. Otherwise, resign your post and go back to working at Staples or Office Max. Golly. God, I feel like if it's not the criminals disgusting me, it's the law enforcement. And principals, if you don't sit there and start listening to your teachers and have their back because you're afraid the district is going to get on you because your graduation rate sucks, well, who gives a shit? Maybe you're not good at what you do. Have some freaking honor and decency and make it where you can protect these teachers, because I'm telling you, there are some schools around the country that are almost impossible to staff. Why? Because their reputation precedes them. I have some schools, I won't mention their name, but guys, I have some schools where literally the teachers tell me, F off. Why are you trying to get me to go into a war zone? I'm not working there. You can't pay me enough to work there. Guys, if there's schools like that, shame on the parents. I put that on the parents. Again, if you know your kid is a ruffian, if you know that your kid is a jerk, if you know he's basically a criminal, why aren't you telling people? My goodness. What is the point of us having juvenile hall and juvie prisons for kids if we're not going to use them? This is crazy. Every damn thing is for profit. All right, well, take your for-profit juvenile system and put these criminals in there, and let's get them off the dang street. This is ridiculous. You guys want to hear a really ridiculous story? Oh my God, this one took the cake. Imagine if you had a loved one in a nursing home, and imagine if you found out that they've been missing. And when they're missing, they come up with weird excuses. Hey, your uncle signed himself out. Okay, well, he's in a nursing home. He shouldn't have that ability. I have power of attorney over him. Hey, your uncle went to Walmart and never came back. Really, that's interesting because you're a nursing facility. You're supposed to keep track of him. Hey, we think one of your family members abducted him. You're probably thinking right now, what the hell happened? Well, let me tell you this story. Elderly Florida man, his name is Elan Etienne, 71-year-old guy. He was in a North Dade, Miami nursing and facility center. So he's there with trained professionals that are supposed to help him. He went in there after, I believe, a stroke. He ends up coming up missing. They find his body in a closet next to an aquarium 12 days later. They inform the family all along the way of these various lame excuses like, hey, we think one of your family members abducted him. Hey, we think he signed himself out. Hey, apparently he left the facility and went to Walmart and never came back. These are lame-ass excuses, and come to find out, he never left the facility. He was never taken out. He passed away in a closet, and they didn't find him for 12 days. How the hell do you not smell this guy before then? And if you have staff working there, how is every closet door not opened, you know, at least once a week in some way, shape, or form? So again, you hear these stories and it's like, what a nightmare. What a shame. Every time I'm about to tell you something profound, my battery dies. Just a fact of life. That's the way it goes, right? So check this out. I was going to tell you 2 of the 3 stories, and I'm going to just keep it to the 2 that I shared, but there was a 3rd story that I was going to cram in, but I didn't really have too much time because I wanted to get out before it got too hot. But anyway, this 3rd story was a story that we've always heard on Dateline. A Texas City bar patron, a lady that was going through a divorce situation with her cheating husband, right? She's in there enjoying a cousin's birthday. They're going from bar to bar to bar. And of course, what they do, just like everybody does, they take a bunch of pictures, put it up on their social media pages. So anyway, this lady is telling everybody about her cousin or family member's family party, and she's just going to bar and bar. They're bar hopping. Her boyfriend or husband, his girlfriend that they've been cheating on her with, her girlfriend gets a hold of these videos, goes down, ends up stabbing the lady, I think they said like 8 to 12 times, taking her life. And they showed the lady. Here's the crazy thing. She was so much more pretty than the girlfriend. The girlfriend just looked like, ugh, you gotta be kidding me. The wife looked really, really pretty. And again, looks aren't everything, right? You can be pretty on the inside and ugly as hell, or pretty on the outside and ugly as hell on the inside, right? But you would think that if you're gonna cheat on your wife, someone that you love, someone that you have a family with, right? You would think that you would leave your wife for somebody that was really, really something else. And trust me, this woman was something else. just not necessarily in the looks department. And here's another thing. If you're willing to kill somebody, guess what? Your insides are pretty ugly too. So apparently this guy is going to go to jail for having his girlfriend kill his wife. Isn't that horrible? A lot of times people like me, I look at a breakup and I say, break up, get divorced, move on. But a lot of times these court systems and these men, they feel trapped. They don't want to lose their house. They don't want to lose their kids. They don't want to lose the money that's in their bank account, right? They start to feel like it's not their money, their being them and their wives. They start to feel like it's their money, as in just them, not their wives. And so what happens is, instead of divorcing and trying to recoup and make a comeback, and most people that divorce, you know, they're usually able to get on with their lives over a couple years, right? But instead of doing the right thing, they try to cut corners. They try to eliminate their ex. I don't care how much you hate your ex. Who cares? Move on without them. If they're that bad and you hate them that much, you should see divorce and separation as a blessing. And if you lose half of your income, you know what? That's one of those things that you need to think about prior to getting married. You know? Do I think we should have prenuptial agreements? Not necessarily. But at the same time, if somebody wants one and the woman that you're marrying or the man that you're marrying refuses to sign it, well, I mean, that should be a sign to you. You better make sure this is the one. He or she has no interest in signing your prenup. You know? Another thing you got to remember is that back in the day when we had things like alimony, and I understand that some states still do, but back in the day it was very, very normal for a woman to raise the family while the dad was out, you know, bringing in the money. So when the dad got to the point where he was making a successful 6 or 7 figure income, and then he decided he wanted to leave his wife for his beautiful secretary, they needed alimony back in the day. Well, now we live in a day where everybody wants to be equal and stuff. Maybe we should think about getting rid of alimony. You know, we still have child support there. I think we can all agree that child deserves some support. But do we all need to make sure that a woman gets taken care of for the rest of her life when he or she decides to divorce from their spouse? You know, I don't know. That's up for debate. Let me know your thoughts down below. My thoughts are this: no matter what route you take, nobody should lose their life over it. And my goodness, if you have a girlfriend that's willing to kill your ex, well, guess what? I wouldn't want to sleep next to that woman. She's probably very capable of killing you too. And if you are one of these crazy girlfriends, what are you doing killing people? Again, I know you venters aren't them, right? But again, man, people are willing to throw away everything in order to save half of something. What do you mean? Well, think about it. If you have a couple $100,000 in the bank and you're concerned about your wife divorcing you and taking half of it, you're willing to lose everything to save that half. My thinking is, let her have it. Give her that payment as a way of saying, get the hell out of my life and move on. It took me many years to recover both financially and emotionally from my divorce. But it's still one of those things that I knew had to be done. I was living with a person that I felt like wasn't a very good teammate at all. And I'm sure if you asked my ex, I'm sure she would echo the sentiments, but from her point of view. You know? But that's what divorce boils down to, right? You find out that you're not such a good match after all. You find out that you've grown apart. Well, you need to come to terms with the fact that a marriage is a contract and it's binding. And in certain states, that marriage comes with the promise of alimony. And if you have kids, I don't know of any state where you're not going to have to pay child support. So if you really don't want to ever pay child support and you don't want to ever even think about paying $1 to your ex in the form of alimony payments, then don't get married and don't have kids. Doesn't that seem like a no-brainer? And here's the crazy thing. You guys know as well as I do, just because a girl kills somebody's wife, that doesn't mean that the husband necessarily knew about it. But my goodness, how bad of a radar do you have if you're dating murderers? I feel like crazy people I feel like they betray themselves. You should know when you're in the company of crazy. I know when I'm in the company of crazy. That's why a lot of times I stay away from people. And you want to know something else? When people are drinking, sometimes they're not themselves. Sometimes the crazy comes out when they're drinking, right? And if you're with somebody that 90% of the time is drinking because maybe they have an alcohol problem, well, you're not really dating them anymore. You're dating the crazy version of them. So again, some of these things just come across as like, well, duh. But we live in a world where just like everybody's kind of been dumbed down and we're all kind of stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're really infatuated with somebody, or you really love and adore them, or you have a crush, we've been known as human beings to do really crazy, stupid things for love or for affection. Holy shit, I hope that's one of those things that we as a people can get over someday. Sometimes life dictates that we're supposed to be alone. Is it a time for you to learn something? Is it a test? Does God want you to be alone? I don't know. Is it just one of those things that we experience in life? Sometimes we're with somebody and sometimes we're alone. Probably. But my goodness, if your thoughts turn to murderous rage, you've got a problem. And that leads to us having a problem. We really need to start doing something about these issues. These issues cost all of us money. Have you ever seen what the average cost of a court case cost? Right? You get the judge, you get the lawyers, you get the jury, you get everything set up. Right? These court cases take weeks, if not months at a time. There's deliberations involved. There's people missing time from work. Each case probably costs 6 or 7 figures to the taxpayer. I'm sick of this crap. Every murder makes everything go up in price that much more. Everything is so expensive. We should really, as a people, come together and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. How come politicians, they always want to talk about the border, or they always want to talk about taxes, or they want to talk about this, that, and the other? How about we start talking about real world things like getting bad people out of our lives? And when I say bad, I'm talking evil people. If you're some guy that's just in a bad mood and you get in fights outside bars and stuff, I don't necessarily think you need to be put in jail forever. But my God, if you're the type that's going to pull guns and knives and start hurting people and giving them permanent injury, yeah, I don't think we should have to deal with you. These stories always amaze me. I could probably pull another dozen off the internet because they happen every day, everywhere in the country. That's where we got to pray. Pray that something positive happens. And you stay positive. Keep walking. That's why I walk. These things bother me. But at the end of the walk, I'm able to come down to earth, relax, and guess what? That half hour just killed another 150 calories. Let's go!